Got done making this medieval mace or flail thingy, and we noticed that when I went to go swing it that it was way too heavy. So if you ever notice something like that, like things are just too heavy, then drop something else in there just to get an idea, like, well, how big is this thing anyway? And that's when I put one of my characters from a game in here, and I found, yeah, that mace is huge, compared to my character. So when you see that the whole mace altogether weighs 358 kilograms, it makes sense because it's so huge. So when I see the whole thing highlighted, I'll grab it with the R2 trigger, and then just, while I'm holding that, press down on the D-pad, and that will size this thing down. Make sure I'm not making any lines here, not moving it from the origin. There we go. And I could make it like 8% maybe. And now how heavy is it? If I hold L1 and press square over the mace, yeah, it's 0.1 kilograms, so it might be too small. But let me compare it to my character again. Looks about right on the money. Yeah, that's fine to me. But say instead of 8, we did like maybe like 11. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's hard to say. 11 seems like a good size though. What's the weight? 0.4 kilograms. That seems a little bit. Now, yeah, this is more realistic. This is good because we can. 0.4 kilograms is pretty light for a mace, so we'll scope in. I'm holding L1, pressing X, and I'll look at these individual components here. This handle, I'll hold L1 and press square to bring up its menu, and I'll grab it with the R2 trigger and press up on the D-pad to make it a little bit bigger. And we've got our finish done. We go to physical properties here by clicking the Newton's Cradle in that tab, Newton's Cradle tab, and we made it grabbable with an imp. Now, here at the bottom, there's physics cost, and by default, it's always got this cloud button picked, which is the medium physics cost. So I noticed with this mace, I put everything to low, and it operates exactly the same way. I swing the mace around, and it works as it should. So I recommend, on the sculpture level, every sculpt you have, so this handle is one sculpt, groups will not allow you to edit them and pick the physical settings for like the entire group. You have to edit by sculpt. You have to tell each sculpt that you want the low physics cost. And so that'll help when you start to have a lot of different moving things in your game. The more of them that are set to low physics cost, the better. So I set this handle to low physics cost, and you can see if I scope into these spikes, each spike group is set to low physics cost here. I had to do it for each spike group. Luckily not for each spike, since I used the kaleidoscope guide to copy them around. So here you can see too, same thing. Low physics cost. Now, with this, you can change this density. I think for the spikes we're good. We can make the ball a little bit more dense, right? So I named these now, by the way. I have the group of spikes, and I have the ball, so it's not confusing. The spikes are all grouped together, because I don't need to change their density at all. I think the ball can be a little bit denser. Like, it's 50% makes it weigh half a kilogram. That's pretty serious. We could go to 55% density. There you go. 0.7 kilograms for the ball. It seems like it's the handle that needs to come up. Scope in with L1 and X. Make sure everything's on low physics cost. Yeah, the handle, it's a pretty big handle to only weigh under half a kilogram. So we'll put this to like 60%. Yeah, now the handle weighs 0.8 kilograms. And maybe 65%. 1 kilogram for the handle. Is that? Yeah, I'll leave it at 60, I guess. So now the whole thing... That's so weird. Okay, yeah, that group, it tells you 0.8, but that's not giving you the whole thing. Because it's 0.7 plus that 0.8. So yeah, that's about a good weight for this. So yeah, just make sure you turn the physics in the Newton Cradle page of every sculpture, physical properties. You want that down, the low arrow, very bottom setting on the left of this Newton's Cradle page. So now that I got all my physics low, I'll go into Tools here with the wrench and the ruler. Click the sculpture detail. And I also, the name of the game here is to bring this down until you can't notice the difference. So it's pretty high defined. As long as there's a subtraction in this green button here, you're reducing the detail. And then if you click move here, you can view how it looks real quick. So it still looks the same. Bring it down. Now you can see that the detail is starting to deteriorate. And really, you can do this with whatever you're happy with. But I'll make it a little bit better so that it's like, yeah, right there. That seems to be good detail, where you can see everything looks good, but it's not red anymore. Red means it's taking up a lot of graphics memory here. So this thing shouldn't take up 2%. It should only take 1. And since these spikes are all copies of each other, it lets you work on them all at once. I think the spikes look okay for the most part. Yeah, I could bring them down a couple, but I don't need to. They're fine. But the ball needs to come down. Bring the ball down. Yeah, like the ball looks fine there, but I guess I'll add a little bit more. And yeah, so that looks exactly the same. But now it's only worth 1% graphics memory. And then now it says relatively this is red. But we have consider scale checked right now. So if you uncheck it, you can see that both sculpts are blue, which is good. They're not taking up a lot of graphics. So now we've got that taken care of. With this chain, when we scoop in and open the tweak menus, hold L1 and press square to open the tweak menus of both of these chains, because of course I have one that's vertically oriented here and one that's horizontally oriented, as you can see. And it's kind of making it hard to, there we go, do the point grab. So you can see in both menus, go to the physical properties. Luckily here with ruled flex, you don't have to worry about physics cost. It's not like, it's negligible, so it's not even a factor in this menu for the physical properties. One thing you can do is add gravity, and you'll see if you do that, the chain will kind of sag in accordance with gravity. And 317 though is crazy. I would think 100% gets it to match like the gravity of everything else, you know, whatever the weight of the things that are connected to are. So I'm not sure how it calculates that, but probably something like that. You could turn on a little bit of gravity, but you know, I don't think it's necessary for the chain. But for the chain, I think this floppiness really improves the look of it. So you can scope out of here and you won't lose your menus. As long as you're not hovering over your menus when you hold L1 and hit circle. But if you click in your R stick, you can see that's how it goes now. And if you add floppiness on one, you can kind of compare them. One flops around a little bit more, while the other is like stiff. So that one's swinging right here on the left, and this one's kind of stiff. So I like to put both floppiness up to 100%, and that looks good. If you like the gravity, then switch that to 100%. And your chain will sag, but make sure you do it for both, because you don't want like that gap there. They'll be out of sync and it'll look like there's two chains, which there are in Flex, but as long as both of these gravities are set to the same setting, the chains they'll sway together and they'll have a functioning chain. So yeah, it's all for your personal preference whether you want the gravity or not. I don't include it. But make sure you turn the physics cost down and make sure you turn the sculpture detail down. And make sure your sculpt is at your whole model is at a reasonable size so that it won't weigh like 1,000 tons. Now, if we added like a little table here real quick, I'll just put a cube. Put a red cube. And enable the make it movable. Just go to the main group, make it movable, and go into view mode. Now we should be able to grab it and swing around without a lot of resistance. Yeah, see? Much better. That's how you want the mace to behave. It's not super heavy anymore. So there you go. It behaves good, it looks good, and every sculpt that it's made of is set to low physics cost. So now we've optimized our sculpt. We've optimized everything about it. The physics, we delete that cube, and the graphics is at 1%. And that's all there is to it. So hope you enjoyed that. I recommend everybody do this to all their sculpts so that anybody who uses your sculpts, they don't have to dig through it and do all of this. But you know, if you use an asset, anytime you plug something in from the Dreamweaverse, definitely just double check it. Make sure that you can optimize it in this way. Scale it to a reasonable size. Go into every sculpture and make sure the physics cost is set to low. And then go into this tools menu and click sculpture detail and get everything to be blue, basically, whenever the consider scale is unchecked. And with that, it should give you a reasonable thermometer cost over here. If you click this thermometer, you can look at physics data too under more details sometimes. Sculpture, physical shape. Especially once you have a scene, it'll let you look into even more details of physics. So you'll see how that will pay off, especially for things like non-puppet enemies. So that's the tutorial. I'm just going to save this again and release it online as public, version notes, optimized, the graphics, physics. That's the graphics and physics. And then, boom, new line button. Made the chain swing more fluidly. With 100% floppiness. Oh, there's the percent sign. But no gravity. And then I slightly tweaked. So yeah, this time I remembered everything I did. So I'll put it all in the version notes. Slightly tweaked density of ball and handle. Okay, so there we go, save. And I just remembered one more thing we're gonna do. Press circle. We're going to scope in, hold L1, press X, open the tweak menu for the handle, and scope out with L1 circle, L1X to scope in, or to get, or just L1 and square for the flail. Wait, do we need our sculpt menus for this? No. No, I don't think we do. No. Okay. So yeah, we got the handle menu, and then the flail. We can edit this from the group menu. Go to this audio tab here with the speaker. No, we can't. Okay, so yeah, scope into the flail. Scope into the ball. And scope into the spikes. Get each sculpture that you have. There we go. So in all these menus, you need to go right down to the sculpture for everything. Just like we did, so you might as well do this while you're editing your physics cost. In your physics cost. Go to the audio surface type tab for all of your sculptures and set it to whatever you want it to be. Since this is a medieval mace, I'm going to set it to metal because it's made of metal. And I have it like weighing, you know, about a little bit over 2 kilograms or something like that. A little bit over 1.5 kilograms. And so I want it to basically be like metal. So I'll take the handle. We got the handle and the ball. Those are the most important thing, really. Just make sure you've got, by default, you've got metal, you've got gravel, grass, liquid, wood, dirt, stone. It'll be on default. So I pick metal. Default, metal for the ball. And then metal for that group of spikes, metal for that group of spikes, metal for that group of spikes, and metal for that group of spikes. Now there are just four groups of spikes, right? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Left on the D-pad. to undo anything you delete. So there we have it. So now everything is set to make like a metal type of sound whenever it hits like a table or whatever. And of course, you're gonna add your own sounds and a rumble feature to this health modifier. And anytime you shrink everything down, like we shrunk this mace down, open your health modifier again, L1 and square, to make sure that your range is still where it needs to be. So it did shrink and move with everything. It's right over the mace ball where it should be. So that's everything. We've got it all optimized. Everything behaves properly. It sounds like metal when it hits something. It weighs about the right weight, you know. Each part weighs almost a whole kilogram. That's about right for a mace. It looks like metal, and it doesn't take up too much detail to look like metal. As we see, 1%. So now it's optimized, and we were able to swing it well. So the physics are good, the graphics are good. That's everything. I'm going to save it one more time. Now the default view here is pretty far away, so I'm going to add a camera bookmark here. I'm going to grab it with R1, zoom in, and hold L1, go down a little bit, move over. I'll go up to that puzzle, and then go to this green button with the little bookmark, press X. There we go. So now I've got that camera bookmark, so if I'm way over here out in who knows where, and I just want to get back, I hover over that puzzle piece and click my bookmark, and it brings me back there. So there we go. This element, the mace, is optimized. And that concludes this tutorial. Hope you enjoyed that. So it's always fun to make like a basic mechanical contraption in this game and see how you can use connectors. I'll say what did I do? Oh yeah, added metal surface sounds. And yeah, it's just a really nice gesture to include what's updated in your version notes, because if something breaks somebody's game, they can make sure that they go back to an old version and only update each element to the version, the most recent one that doesn't break their game. So, and it's much easier for them to figure out which version that is if you say in your version notes, I changed this, and so anything that works with this might break. So added metal surface sounds. And that's it. So have a good one, y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed that. And yeah, this is all easily searchable now. If you just want the mace, you can get it. You can just search, you know, mace, medieval. I've got all these tags here. Flail, Humble Roots, YouTube tutorial, and it'll come up. So enjoy. Have a good one, y'all.